Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Velocity, New York. I'm here with Dave Zwieback. Dave, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Mike?
Good. So, who are you with?
You mean my company?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No one's around here right now.
Yeah,
but
I know. Well, I should. My wife. So I'm with Next Big Sound, and we're in New York City, and we've built an analytics platform for the music industry and now the publishing industry as well.
Oh, interesting. So, can you talk a little bit more about what you're doing there? What's going on?
Sure. So what we've done is we bring in all the social data, like the Twitter followers and interactions and Facebook likes and SoundCloud, RDO, Spotify, iTunes sales, and physical sales and event data. And we bring it all together, and then we put it all kind of in a dashboard for essentially marketing people within the record industry as well as within the
So you have
book industry.
profiles of people like myself who listen to music and genres, or what is it that...
Good question. It's more for bands and artists and authors.
To reach
Yeah.
listeners or...
Yeah, exactly. So basically what our tool allows you to do is the social stuff, all the social indicators are essentially leading indicators for sales.
Yeah.
So it allows publishing companies and record companies to kind of figure out how to best spend their fairly limited marketing budgets, for instance. Where to send people on tour, what's the best way to promote the new record or the new book, things like that.
So is this what you're talking about tomorrow, or what are you talking about in your talk?
I just gave a talk just now. Yeah,
okay.
Literally fresh out the kitchen kind of thing. Yeah. I'm have talked about anti-fragility and DevOps and where the two intersect or not.
Yeah, and I think you're talking with us about that as well, aren't you? Anti-fragile DevOps?
Yeah, so this is the talk that I just gave.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is DevOps changing to where we now have to put anti-fragile in front of it, or what is the meaning behind anti-fragile?
So anti-fragile describes systems
that are robust?
Things that are beyond robust. So usually when we think about fragile systems, right, I don't know.
Something that's breakable.
Something that's breakable, right?
Yeah.
Something that will basically, with a little bit of stress, with only a little bit of stress, will be, the results of a little bit of stress would be catastrophic, And robust systems have more sort of redundancy, so that, for instance, you have two hard drives in a system. And so if one of them breaks, chances are, you can still recover. But neither fragile nor robust systems love or benefit from disorder, from volatility, from randomness, from stress. And these are all kind of like, those words are all kind of the same, similar, and they're all kind of the same type of phenomena, basically. And there's a class of systems that loves those things, and they're called anti-fragile. So, for instance, the example that I gave in my talk is if you have a file and you want to make sure that it's as widely distributed as possible and that it's as resilient to failure as possible as well, then, so kind of walking through that scenario, if you have a fragile system, you put it on your iPad or on your laptop, and basically if something happens to that,
it's gone.
It's gone. The robust is you put it in a data center, distributed, multiple
backups and everywhere.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that particular robust system can withstand a lot more traffic, a lot more, but it doesn't actually benefit from stress, disorder. So if everybody on Earth all of a sudden wanted to download that file, it can cause, like an essentially distributed denial service attack, on that server, right? And also, that particular server is, robust systems are typically subject to these sort of unpredictable black swan type events, right? Black swan because rare, unpredictable. Nobody could predict that there could be black swans until they saw one, right? And so what happens, for instance, if you're running those servers and there's a leap second bug, which affects all of them. It's unpredictable, it's kind of rare, but it takes down your whole robust infrastructure, And so the real opposite of fragile is anti-fragile, right? So in the same example,
Yep.
if you seeded that file onto a BitTorrent network, actually the more people wanted that file, the more distributed it would become.
Right.
So, and actually, the more distributed it is, the less likely that it will disappear, essentially.
Right, which is good.
Yeah, which is what you want. And
Yes,
so
yes.
the BitTorrent kind of system actually benefits from that stress, from that disorder, from that volatility and randomness and so on. So it's an example of an anti-fragile.
Yeah, the publishing world and the media world needs to learn from that and not put DRM in their products and let it get
Yes.
out there, because then it's everywhere, and that's what you want rather than obscurity. So talk to me a little bit about the new topics of lean and all these different things. Are they part of this anti-fragile? I mean, can you have a lean operation running and still build your sites or your data around anti-fragile?
So
Is it
the thing about anti-fragile, so how you might go about building an anti-fragile system, essentially, is you minimize your downside and you maximize your upside. When there's this asymmetry between downside and upside, that's sort of the definition of an anti-fragile system. Now, how you go about building that, right? So we have all these, DevOps, lean, agile. There are things that are components of all those approaches.
continuous deployment?
Continuous deployment, exactly.
Yeah.
Continuous integration, et cetera, et cetera. There are things that those approaches allow you to do that result in minimizing that downside, essentially, right?
Yep.
And so, the anti-fragile, I guess I'm kind of like processing this now, and I'm realizing is that you can build anti-fragile systems in organizations with any of these kinds of approaches, or maybe using multiple approaches at the same time.
Okay.
And DevOps has a lot, DevOps, is a philosophy, so it has a lot of, I think probably it's closest to lean. It's actually based very much on that approach.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's kind of unfortunately named, if you wish, to kind of limit itself to only development operations, but it actually does span the whole company, or should span the whole company.
Yes. So one last question. Should the Obamacare site have deployed and used anti-fragile methodologies, or would they have done better if they were set up to succeed?
I don't know very much about, I know that there was an outage.
It's out for 2 weeks and people can't get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so...
Would anti-fragile help something like that? Like, not expecting 2 million people a day or an hour to come in?
So the question is, you're looking back in retrospect and you're saying that they should have thought about that maybe there will be 2 million people coming in, and maybe they should have prepared for that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of orthogonal to anti-fragile per se. I don't think that normally how we build systems, so if you're using cloud technologies, correctly, specifically if you're using auto-scaling, but that means that your applications have to support auto-scaling. They have to be able to run on end machines, right? That could have been, so that auto-scaling has kind of anti-fragile properties.
Okay. Yeah.
And that could have helped, because as more people would go to the site, then more instances would get spun up, more capacity, and so and then when that stopped, then it would kind of spin down. I don't know enough about the architecture of the Obamacare websites to really comment.
Is there a continuum between anti-fragile and really fragile, and there's some progression that you get there?
It seems like there's definitely, so robust, which is kind of in the middle, is actually a version of fragile, right? It's less fragile. And anti-fragile is also anti-fragile up to a point. Okay. All these things have breaking points after which whatever economics or system or scalability or whatever they stop working.
Yeah. Okay. Dave, thank you. This is a really interesting topic.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.